Yeah.
Okay, so I was just talking to Tim about this. Are we already on? It's okay if we are. So I was like, dude, let's get like a badass camp together. Cause I like a few people have come to me like, hey, help me with recon. And I told Tim, and Tim is incredible. He's the one that created that course. He loves it. I go, let's get a group of people and put on a camp for them. Would you be up for that? But we want to do like content all around it. Like we'll do episodes, and that we've got some hype leading into the race day. Okay, yes. Right now it's Max, Jeff Browning, Finn.
Which reminded me, I was just saying to Brett, like I'm kind of dead still from Cocodona.
Oh yeah,
And so I really want to honor that race.
yeah,
Like I want to give it my all.
yeah.
That's-
It's a runner's race.
Yeah.
Like it is so Tim.
Okay.
There's long sections where there's long
Okay.
sections where you can just hammer, but then there's just beautiful climbing sections too. And then like you're gonna run routes that like people have never even been before.
Is your microphone on?
Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me?
I'm on.
Oh, I am on.
We're good.
Okay.
Okay.
I think we just started.
We just started. So are people on right now watching us?
Yes.
I believe so.
Okay. This is so exciting.
Yeah. So this is year 2 of what's become a tradition, having Sally in studio with us, Western States Week. Last year was a great conversation. We got into all sorts of topics. We were just talking offline about like
Everything.
We covered 12 topics in the kitchen.
Yes.
where do we steer this thing?
Yes.
Well, I'm actually fascinated. We were talking about the current scope because your daughter's running in college at
Yeah.
NAU, and we were talking about what it's like to be a collegiate athlete right now and how different
Yeah.
it is than even just like 5 or 6 years
Yeah.
ago with like NILs. And I know it's not really trail related. It'll definitely turn into it because, we're talking about the sponsorship landscape,
Mm-hmm.
but what has it been like to navigate or to help navigate that scene that's still so new and doesn't really seem like there's much for like rules.
I know. I think we're all still trying to figure it out. I mean, I think something was just passed a couple weeks ago as far as no more scholarships, but teams can give out money.
Yeah.
And
No more scholarships.
yeah, it's like, but teams can give money to the athletes, but I think teams are like getting smaller. I'm still navigating, so I'm
Yeah,
sure there's probably people online that you're saying it wrong, but like there's so much changing right now that it just doesn't. It doesn't feel like what college athletics were. That's what we were talking about, was just, you commit to a team and you're there and you grind for those 4 or 5 years with the team. And it's like, now it's just, how can we stack this team to look like a pro team? And even
to make money for the school.
But like, I think that what we're seeing too, I think this year coming up, there's only one freshman being recruited.
Really?
Yeah, because you can get people from everywhere, and then people are having that 5th year, right? So the teams are getting a little bit older. So I think, you think of like an 18-year-old racing against someone that's like 23 or 24, or even coming from out of country, brand new to college, right? And so they can come in at a later age. And so, yeah, the landscape of the team is kind of different.
Yeah, it's a
So,
really tough time as like an American high school recruit because you're competing against not just
Yeah.
the other American high schoolers, but like
Yeah.
international runners who are a couple years outside of high school.
Yeah.
Your grad school transfer, and then also there's like a new maximum like roster capacity cap,
Yes,
which
that's what I was talking
it
about.
made
Yeah.
the track teams very small to the point where like I think it was Washington State just announced that they are essentially putting all of their track and field focus into only distance. So they're basically like, we're going to try and become a distance powers, which
Yeah.
like NAU has kind of like accidentally sort of
Yes.
like done that. So
Yeah.
like it's interesting how like some of the schools are now like we're a sprint school,
Specialized.
we're a throws school,
Yeah.
which is just kind of like it's just like a continuation of like the professional
Exactly,
line, which,
yeah.
it's super interesting.
But I think what's exciting too, because I think with it doesn't matter what it is actually that we're talking about, but it's like when things kind of look like, oh gosh, that doesn't like look good, or this is going in a negative direction, I do see a lot of positives too. And that's something that I've discussed with Mackenzie. I mean, she's only 19, but I think for, youth coming in, we're even seeing this in Charlotte, there's just so much more opportunity for them. And you don't even, I mean, as a mom, like I've always encouraged my kids to go to college, but I'm like, it's crazy how 18, 19, 20-year-olds can make 6 figures, not go to college, be entrepreneurs, have their own business. But even now we're seeing kids in high school are going to these invitational races. They're going to, they're doing things that aren't just a part of their high school team or a part of their college team. They can kind of step out of that and really create the path that they want and get recognition in other ways. So, yeah, it's just, I think having the right people around you to help navigate that. And I think that's one of the hardest things when you're a kid. And even for neutral athletes, I mean, that's something we were talking about earlier, is like the young people coming into the sport that are trying to figure out, how do I do this professionally? There's still a lot of questions. So
Yeah, it's like, I'm a pretty good runner. I'm getting into trail. I think I have a chance of making it. What do I do in this landscape of the sport to try and get noticed as a sponsor, like by sponsors? Like, is it just racing? Is it more than just racing? Can I still do this by myself, or do I need to hire someone to help me?
yeah, those are all really good questions. I don't know where we want to
Agents.
dive in depth in.
I want to hear your take on agents.
That was the hot word that I was alluding to.
I have so many opinions.
Unpack agents for us in trail.
There's a lot of great topics that we're going to talk about. So I think we can hang on this for a little bit, but I actually think it deserves its own podcast, Finn. I would love to do
Long
that
form.
with you.
Okay.
Long
Yeah.
archives.
There is, because here's the thing, it's content that can genuinely help people, that can be circulated. I mean, it's definitely some of what I'm gonna summarize, but I think what's important for everyone to understand that when it comes to sport as whole, it isn't just the as much as you want it to be as an athlete, you want it to be so much about you training and racing and your genuine love that you had from the time you were young for something. Like we start out in sport so pure, you know, whether it's like chasing that soccer ball down the field or just like running with your friends, playing tag. Like, we have bodies that move, and we find out that, wow, this is a good way to make friends. Like, you meet your teammates, you learn how to be social. And then the older you get, you do kind of understand that, like, especially for me as a soccer player, like, I remember my first year trying out for ODP. That was the first political. You will not get chosen on a team unless you play for the Pats. And I was like, what? And it was true. Everyone from the Pats got chosen for that team. So I think from the time I was young, when I was in high school, and I already had 2 jobs at this time. So I'm someone that worked in several different industries, but also had this great love for soccer, and didn't always, you know, have the funds to hire a coach, be on a club team, all those things. I learned it along a young age to kind of step back and really pay attention to what is going on. And so when we sign new athletes, especially the younger athletes, and they're just thinking that, oh my gosh, this brand is so excited about me, and they're excited about the races that I'm doing, and they really think that I'm a great runner, and their whole heart and soul is put into being signed by a brand. I think right now people think that is like the pinnacle. And I always like to ask younger athletes, give me just like an idea in your head. Like, what is it in your head that you envision about being so great, about being signed with a brand, and why? And why is it you want to be signed with this brand? Like, what does that really mean to you? And if we can help people define what it means to be signed, to live a professional runner's life, I think we would get a lot of different responses. And I think right now, what I'm seeing is brands come in and they work with athletes, not just on one level, they work with them on several different levels. But at the end of the day, as hard as it is to admit, or for the people want to hear, it comes down to selling product. You have to sell their product. You have to represent the brand. You have to fit it, because when you hear of even people being cut from teams, it's like, oh, we're just going in a new direction, or like, you don't fit the team anymore. And you could still be doing pretty well getting on the podium, but are you really aligning with their messaging? Are you selling their product? Are you a good business person? And then you step into the side of, well, let's tell us how you're interacting in the community, social media, you know, what are the other pieces that you have to offer? It isn't just, can you run well? There's so many other pieces that go into it now.
How do you know if you're selling product?
I think that I've never been given analytics in my whole career as much as I would love to see those things. I think it's Yeah, I think that's something that would be I need to give more time to think about that. But I think it's connected to your account. It's connected to your social media. I mean, the discussions that I'm hearing right now when people are looking for athletes on a team it's two things. They're a good athlete. Also, they have a YouTube channel. Also, they have 1 million followers.
The YouTube
Also, they
channel
have.
is like, that's a big thing.
It's a huge thing.
It's
So
like growing thing.
So here's a discussion. Sat down with someone that runs a good sized company with the team of athletes and said, I don't even look at analytics. I don't look at who's selling what on the team. And I thought, oh, that's like really interesting. That's a really interesting thing to say to all of us 30 athletes that are sitting there, that isn't what it's about. But when I looked around in the room, all of these people have massive social media accounts. And most of the athletes that were in the room also had brought cameras. They're vloggers. They have a presence. So yeah, we can say it doesn't really matter to me, but people that are of influence that have, they are impacting millions of followers every single month. I don't know if it's really a question of whether or not they're selling product. I think it's just a given.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't have to be like an actual tangible bottom line number, but it's just like the value that you are clearly bringing or not bringing to the company is either noticed or unnoticed.
Yeah.
For these reasons. And
yeah,
you can kind of suss that out on vibes even more so than numbers.
Yeah.
Like it's almost easier today to see that because you can just be like you said, like these people have massive YouTube channels and they're doing more than just running. And it's interesting how much more full-time like this position is than it ever was. Cause like you could feel your whole day being like just a professional athlete as like a runner, but you don't like no professional runners even get that luxury anymore unless maybe you're the like very top like 1 or 2 people in the world. But like
or how to build a team around themselves.
Now there's like you have to do all these other things if you want to make it in this sport. I'm curious if you think that's something that will continue to grow or like what's the tipping point for like how much these professional runners have to handle in order to be successful in this sport?
And that is like where my heart is. I feel for the athlete that is like, I just love playing soccer. Like I love just running. Like that's like what I want to do. I want to know that I can make a career doing something I love without feeling like I have to have I need to walk around with a DJ Osmo like everywhere I go and that I need to be putting out YouTube episodes or that I need to be doing like these viral TikToks all the time. I mean, I think that is something that needs to be discussed because from what I'm seeing, there needs to be something else besides just the competing. And here's the thing too, and I know this was part of one of our topics we were going to even talk about. One of the things that I tell athletes when they come and talk to me about sponsorships or navigating contracts, they want me to look at a contract, I tell them, before you even step into this, you need to understand that you need to present yourself as a businesswoman, as a businessman. Like you need to understand that you're stepping into the business world. And you got to have a little bit of thick skin in that. But most importantly, and I say this every time, do not forget who you are and realize that a lot of people are going to want to own you, your story, your likeness, and use that as a way to market or make content for themselves. And I think that's what we're seeing. So the athletes that don't want to make all the stuff themselves, they give their stories and everything about themselves to whoever wants to make content for them. But the sad thing is they don't own any of it. So they own nothing. And I think that it's just a hard truth right now, whether it's a book. I mean, I'm in 3 books this year as a chapter. I know I have a powerful story. I speak all the time. I speak all over the world. I'm on podcasts constantly. And I think that's one of the proudest things in my entire career that I have owned is I own my story, and I've owned it. I've created 10 different arms of what it is that I do, because I said at the very beginning, I'm going to own my stuff, I'm going to make my own stuff, and I'm going to walk into negotiation rooms myself, and they're going to give me certain contracts, and I'm going to be like, well, I don't even care about the money. I care about the opportunity, and the opportunities that I'm looking for are very much directed at my passion, the things that I care about. I'm not going to let a company try and shape me into something that I'm not, and I'm not going to let a company own who I am. But I absolutely love working with companies. I very much am a businesswoman. I've created relationships all over the world. But when a new athlete comes in, the most important thing they must remember is they have to stay true to who they are. They have to own their own story, figure out a way to create your own stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's much better to go work at the running shop part-time and do what you love and be free and not have all that stress and show up to the start lines and win and own your own life and own who you are. Because right now it's about fitting algorithms, fitting these different programs, checking off the boxes. We see that when you do Instagram. I mean, on Instagram, it's like, here's the trending audio, here's the trending template, this is how you go viral. But the thing is, that's what everyone is doing. So is it even cool to be viral? It's just, I got the data right, I got the program right. But then we completely lose ourselves. And so I don't always think it's a good idea to tell athletes, well, here's everything that you need to do to please a company. Because what does that cost? Is that the cost of you losing yourself and then just looking like everyone else? You're just checking off the boxes. And so I'm still formulating a lot of this, the way that I would want to navigate this even with Mackenzie, because there's so many pieces to it. So you want to be a friend to brands. You want to be a friend to people that you work with. You want to come alongside and be a positive influence, right? And I think the only way that you can do that is you do have to put like a business cap on. And it's hard, because when I first came into trail running, I was like, I don't like the business world. I love people. That's where I want to operate in.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, boy.
Okay. Have you heard of the Your Boy Scott Jurek account?
Yeah. Yeah, they made I remember when I did Badwater, they made a Super Mario video game dodging fireball. It's a hilarious account.
We have a segment that we're doing this week.
Our partner Norda has partnered with the Boy Scott Jurek, and we have to read out the question that they ask in the chat for each guest that comes in the studio.
Okay.
Did the animation run? Okay, so yeah, the viewers got treated to this amazing animation. Sally, you are in the Scott seat.
You're in the Scott seat. This is not the hot seat, it's a Scott seat.
The Scott seat.
In your opinion, what is the most annoying thing running content creators do?
Oh, man. Let's see, the most annoying thing? That's tough, because I know a lot of running content creators. And I love them. So many of them are my friends.
Feel seen by this.
No,
hey, we're creators too, so we're.
I know, and so am I. I'm sure there's a lot of annoying things that I do. I think the hardest thing for me that I have seen consistently is someone that's so good at content creation and marketing and like all that thing, and like they come into the running world like they're just like learning about it, and then suddenly they're a coach. Like that's really hard.
That's a good
like
one.
That one is actually like, no, like I don't know.
That's so much deeper than like the first thing that came to mind.
That's a little rough. Yeah, that's like rough, man.
I hate
like,
those little sunglasses.
Yeah.
Those things piss me off, man. Like little lens coverage. We grew out of that in 2000.
Right? So good.
Give me the goggles.
Yeah. Why does everyone why do some people just pivot right to coach? Because that's a heavy thing to take on.
It's heavy. Yeah. And even when I do a coaching segment on my podcast, it's Sally Says, I always preface it with like, we have to understand that coaching, when it's like direct one-on-one, it's very customized to like that athlete. So what I'm telling you right now is it's a general answer, but like I would change it if it was this, all these different variables. And so I am really sensitive to that. And I think that there's a lot of phenomenal coaches out there with pretty differing views of how to, program an athlete. So yeah, it's, I don't know. I guess that's like the first thing that came to my mind. But I think at the end of the day, content creators, they find, they're trying to find an into a space that they enjoy. And at the end of the day, they all have their own audience. Like we have the choice to like follow someone or not, And so if I'm going to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, this person drives me crazy, they're so annoying. It's like, well, I'm choosing to follow that. I can turn that off pretty quickly, And I think just in general, if we're feeling overwhelmed by social media and content, it's like, dude, you can turn off your phone. Like you can get that peace of mind back.
Opt in, opt out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
that was great.
That was a good answer, actually.
Thank you.
And also, for people in the chat, if you have any questions for Sally, drop them in. We'll try to address them as the conversation goes. But one thing that I wanted to follow up with you on is, like, it sounds like even before you got into the trail space, you intuitively understood how important it is to own your story.
Yeah.
Like, what is the first example of you doing that in trail?
2016, it was my third year working with Ann Chasen, and my second year. Yeah, Ann Chasen was my coach for a couple years.
Really?
Yeah. So in 2014, I finished 10th place in Western States, and I remember this really well. Her standing at the track, and she was just hero icon of mine, and she was with her dog, and we struck up a conversation and. One thing led to another, and suddenly it was like, well, call me, we'll connect. And she started coaching me in 2015. And actually, no, she started coaching me that fall of 2014 and then into 2015 as I was training for that. But she had a room in her house, as a yellow room, literally a yellow bedroom. All her trophies, her Western States trophies are in there, and that's where I would stay. So I would come up and I would train for like 3 days at a time. A lot in the lead up to Western States. I did that for a couple years. But I think one of the biggest takeaways that I got from Ann, like it was really powerful for me because I was still trying to navigate it. I'd been signed in 14, so 15 and 16 when I was working with her. I just really paid attention to the stories that she told me, and I really paid attention to her reactions about things and how she felt. She was a 14-time champion. She's one of the most legendary, iconic ultra runners of all time. She always will be. And one day we were having dinner, and I don't really know how this question came about, but it may have been something along the lines of, would you have done something different? Like, or even talking about Western States, like, why did you do it so many times in a row? And she said, Sally, if I could go back and do it again, I would have taken more opportunities to do different races. I would have traveled more. I put my whole heart and soul into Western States every single year after year, like she was Western States. And there's a side of me that's just how I've been like since I was little. I don't, as soon as something gets like super popular and everyone expects me to do something, it's like, you're this, you should be doing more of this and this. That was me going into 2016 because Billy had done a film, Western Time, on me in 14. And I came back in 15 and I was like, he and I both, like, that's when he was first started doing films. And we like put our whole heart and soul into that film, just like 6-7 months to do it. We got like no money for it. But we loved it. It really was a passion project. And I will never forget doing that with him because we both were pursuing things that we loved. And after that came out and we came back into the village, I remember thinking like, wow, Billy, a lot of people are like coming up to you. They're talking to us about this film. Like it was all new. That's when film documentaries were just starting to like come out. Like there wasn't very many. And then the next year when I came back in 2016, I felt like more and more people were like, you need to be doing Western States every single year. And so 15, I came back, I got 7th place. I came back in 2016, people were like, okay, you were 10th, you were 7th. Okay, that means you're gonna be like top 3 this year, Sally. And I just felt like I'm going to pay attention to what Anne said, because everything in me does kind of want to go in that direction of like, I need 10 top 10 finishes, because that's what you do. That's what everyone does. That's what people are telling me to do. And I think from the time I was little, I always paid attention to that. And I thought, well, what would happen if I just like created a life that I loved, even if it wasn't popular? What if I did something that was so unpopular? So in 2016, a terrible race. I got 11th place, but it was actually like a gift, because I felt like from that point on, in the middle of 2016 and on, I didn't race in the United States again until COVID. But it actually changed my life. Mm-hmm. It changed my life. It changed my career. From the time I was young, the goal for me was to see the world. I wanted to travel all over the world. And that then became the signature of my career. And it came at a cost. Any coach that I worked with was like, you don't ever get to a start line fully recovered, because I was just racing all the time. I was traveling all the time. I was running my own coaching business, because again, I knew like, I'm going to start building up these businesses because I wanted to own things. I had teammates, so now it was like my 3rd year on Nike, and you're just seeing how easily people are cut. And I worked with several different brands. I've always had multiple sponsors. And you see that it just would wreck these athletes, like whether they're a cut or they're having to go to another team. And I thought, I don't want this to be my whole personality. I don't want like all my value, all my joy, all my purpose to be wrapped up in me going to the same race, or going to the races that people expect of me, or me being Sally, the professional trail runner. I want to know that my career is going to have a little bit more to it, have a little bit more purpose to it. So when I started traveling, like that really was what I was looking for. I would travel, but with these races, I mean, I would be invited to all these races, and I would have opportunities to speak at at a shakeout run, or, put on some type of event. And ultimately, I just felt like that really changed my perspective just on my purpose in the sport, honestly. So
we haven't had many conversations about Ann Trace in here before, and it's cool that you had that relationship. What else stuck out about her to you? Like, what else like kind of rubbed off from Ann on your career? Because she's kind of out of the scene now, right?
Yeah.
She's not as interested in, like, she's not here this week. Seems like she's a bit removed.
Yeah. I'm doing the awards with Dylan Bowman on Wednesday night, and I'm really grateful. I get to talk about her. So, she's so precious in my life. I have a lot of really special memories with her. I think towards the end of our partnership, she definitely treated me like a daughter, which is one of the reasons I knew like I couldn't be coached by her anymore. We had such a strong bond that I knew it was time to move on. I ended up working with Mario Fraioli for a few years. Mario's incredible. I think when you look at what Ann did and the time frame that she did, I'm even thinking about like her gear. Like she essentially ran like in road shoes and with like a Ziploc baggie full of food with like a handheld water bottle. Yeah. On trails that were far more rugged than what we are probably experiencing, is what my guess is, I think that her dedication, all in focus, was incredibly inspiring to me. But there are also things, and I think it's like this in any relationship we have with friends and people close to us, where you also learn lessons from people. You learn what not to do and what to do. And I had so much respect for her that I really did take it to heart to create a career that I could own, that wasn't, a template of what everyone else was doing or what people expected of me. And I think that Ann, she also lived in a time where there wasn't social media, and
was that good for her, do you think? Do you think she was well suited to be in that era versus this like high media attention era?
That's a really good question, Finn. I think about that even for like all athletes. I mean, you think back to like Michael Jordan and like all, like we went off of magazines and newspapers and, you know, maybe they got onto like an interview on TV. Like that's really the only way that you ever got to see someone's personality. I don't know. There's a part of Anne that's really private. So, and I'll always respect that. And I think that right now we're seeing both on the men's and women's side, there's a greater field and a deeper field of consistent competitive athletes. I feel like in Anne's era, there really wasn't anyone like her.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wondered if that was lonely, if it's easy to be like misunderstood, you know? And I think that I look back still at what she's done and I'm like, I don't know if there'll ever be another Ann Trayson, but she's inspired people to be courageous and to try and to defy all odds. And she genuinely loved that trail. I think that was always one of the most precious things that I mean, you just looked that glimmer in her eye. Like she really loved being out in the mountains and just running all day. That was something that she was just so passionate about. Yeah, she made me love the event more and more just because of that, just listening to her stories. So.
Is there any public insight you can share on why someone like Anne would not want to be as involved in this race anymore or the sport?
No, I don't think there's anything I can share. It's been a while since I've talked to her. And so I don't think it would be wise of me to say anything outside of the time that I had with her. Yeah.
So going back to, you know, one of the things that we've been talking about a lot is like kind of owning your own story and like not letting the brands change you. And like you do a phenomenal job of putting your business hat on and like
thank you,
getting into the room, and, like making deals, shaking hands, whatever it is that needs to be done. Do you think that there's, okay, I guess I got two questions, but the first one is, can I avoid that by hiring out an agent to like quote unquote do all the talking for me? Or in a sport that is growing but still pretty small, do I kind of need to be able to handle some of that myself still?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I hopefully this answer will help people that are navigating this. I think when it comes to agents, there's pros and cons for everyone. And you have to remember it's an agent's job. They're going to get paid by getting you contracts. So the question for the athlete is always, is this deal actually in my best interest or is it in your best interest because you need to pay your mortgage? And I hope that this person is going to represent me right. I hope that they are going to say the right things about me and represent me well.
Yeah. Or let you like still hold on to the pieces of you that you would like to.
Yeah. I'm not going to say names. I've had 3 different agents and I've had a difficult time each time for them to represent me well. And maybe there's a part of me that's just a little bit unique in what is important to me and what I'm okay with sharing or how I choose to operate in the sports world. But I think that when a company comes to me and says, just so you know, your agent does not represent you well at all. And
that's happened.
we were appalled by how they talked to us. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. And I was like, stop working with that person right away. This is many years ago. And I don't know what that discussion was, but I always thought that was really interesting. The flip side, there's a lot of positives to having an agent because there's a lot, especially for someone that's like, I don't have the time to be sitting on the phone and making emails and going into meetings and like navigating all this. An agent's work and the effort they put in is worth it. If they're taking 10%, 15%, or 20%. And when you look at, if you're looking at yourself as a brand, well, think of just any other brand. They have a whole team to promote their brand. And so if you have an agent that can represent your brand well and that you trust them, they're 100% worth the 10, 15, 20% because they're the ones that are putting their neck out there for you and making sure that So cute. Sorry, baby in the room. That are making sure that you're getting the deals that you deserve. And agents also, because that's their profession, that's what they specialize in. They know the right words to say. They're businessmen, so like they know how to negotiate. You can't expect that some kid that just graduated from college that just only has their sights on running is going to know how to do all that. Yeah. Agents also have connections. And so there's some agents that, brands will go directly to an agent. Who do you have? Do you have, like, we're looking for someone that fits this. And as much as people don't want to hear that, like sometimes that's how brands work. We need someone that fits this. This is what we're looking for our team. Is there a great athlete that's up and coming that fits these qualities? And so I think that if you find a good agent and they're consistently working alongside you and getting you good contracts, hold on to them. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not bashing agents. It's just understanding when you need them, what to look for in a good agent. There's definitely like pros and cons. I think in my situation, it's who can I trust? Yeah. Who are the people that you can actually trust? And then also is my agent have 38 athletes? Like how much time are they actually putting in for me? There's some agents that do so well with just their small handful of athletes because they've got great athletes.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so tricky about like when to, when not to. And I'm sure, you probably still learned valuable things even from agents that didn't end up working out for you because you're representing yourself now.
Yeah, there is someone I'm talking to that I might work with, but it's like it's not just athlete, it's like brand, it's a lot of different things. So I think having an agent that's kind of like all in other areas of my business is more of what I'm looking for. I'm always looking to build my team, but it makes sense. You see this quite often in, not even just in sports, but even in the music industry. It's like, wow, their parents are always hanging around. It's like, yeah, because they're the only ones that they trust, So it's not uncommon that a spouse is, and Eddie does that. Like Eddie will meet with brands. He'll do like first touch sometimes, like having that first conversation, and he'll kind of like listen and then he'll come back to me with that discussion. He's been amazing at that. He's very much far removed from the things that maybe I'll get emotional about or that are really important to me, and he'll just lay it out. And I think that is so important to have people around you that can have those conversations. So it really comes down like how can you find a good agent that really knows you and cares about what's important to you, and then is also just going to be honest about how contracts work and money works and expectations on both sides. It can get pretty tricky.
Yeah, and also like hiring an agent or an agent working with you does not guarantee that you are going to sign a big fat contract. Exactly. I feel like there's like a little bit of like an expectation right now where it's like if I'm running well and I just decide to get the agent, then I'll get the contract. It's like, well, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that to work out.
Yeah, you're right.
Also.
Yeah.
So books are your big investment right now. Three books.
Words.
They're not my books. I'm a chapter in other people's books. Oh. So my whole point was about owning your own story. Yeah. I had a good friend tell me one time, it was right before we sat down to do a podcast, and he's like, Sally, your story is really powerful. And I was in the middle of like editing my book, and he's like, if you don't tell your story first, someone else will. And I was like, no truer words are spoken. I see that all the time. Brands across the board doesn't, even outside of running, they're looking for real human stories, because we as humans, that's how we connect to one another. So it's, you even see this with, on commercials, TV commercials. It's like there's like a story that's being told, or someone wants to tell something inspiring. All this comes out like during the Olympics. Like every commercial is inspiring, about this athlete that was a little kid, and then all of a sudden it's like now they're here at the Olympics, and it's this brand sells ketchup, and it's like I think what's so important is for all athletes, and I keep on seeing people saying this on here, are amateurs athletes too? Is that what you're referring to? Yes, 100%. I think all people are meant for significance. And I think that we're significant the moment, that we come into this world. Like our lives are meant for purpose. And so if we actually think, and really this is about changing your perspective on brands and how you work with them. If you think that you're only significant when you're signed, then you're always going to be disappointed. Then there's always going to be like an emptiness and like this feeling of like, I'm not good enough unless a brand signs me, because you could sign with a brand and then you get dropped or you get injured or you age out. And then you're left wondering, well, like, what was the meaning of my career? And am I going to be remembered? Now what next? And we see this in many sports. It's not just in running. And so I always like to encourage people, first remember that you are significant, whether you are signed by a brand or not. And this is why I say, own your story, build your own stuff, create your own stuff, own your own stuff, because what ends up happening is, even if you go and work at that run shop for 20 hours a week making your own money, you're happy, because you start to understand that building and creating, it really does fill your life. When you build and create, you automatically connect to communities and people, and you start to build relationships out of that. And that is actually what makes your life fulfilling. It isn't the brand you have on your shoe. It's not whether or not a brand is going to share a picture of you at the start line or not. It's really like, what's the substance of life that you're creating? But I think it's so easy for us to kind of get confused with, these people are significant as we scroll through our phones. These people are significant because they have all these brands attached to them. But if we can somehow flip the perspective, flip the messaging, and help people understand, no, you're significant just because of who you are, because there's never going to be another one like you. Your story is so unique to you. No one can ever own your story. I mean, my buddy, he does interviews, and he told me, he's like, Sally, this is like many years ago. He's like, Sally, I was interviewing this girl, and she literally said she had watched your film, and she said, I want what Sally has. I want that experience. I want that life. Like she was so driven by that. And I told him, I was like, that's so sad to me, because she'll never be me. She'll never have what I have or have that experience. I really hope that people can see you can be inspired by your heroes and what other great people do, but your unique story is so invaluable. And that is why, and that's what brands are always looking for. What's the new story? Who's the new person coming in? What's the new thing? And it could be maybe the way you wear your clothes or your hair, or a thing that you say, or like everyone's always looking for like what's like the new thing. But the thing is, we all have it. We all have something significant. And if we spent more time connecting and building each other up and what we're all creating together, oh my gosh, it would be a game changer. We wouldn't give so much power to a logo. Mm-hmm. A logo is not going to make your career significant. You already are.
So rolling that into some, I guess, work that you'll be doing this week leading up to Western States. You're going to be talking at TrailCon.
Yes.
What will you be talking about?
I have 3 different panels. Even coming into TrailCon was like so wild. I think I was originally asked to be on a panel, and then now I'm a moderator for all 3 of the panels that I'll be on. All right. I had a conversation with Brendan. It was like one conversation, and then the conversation turned into like, I don't know. I'm a visionary storyteller by trade, and we started envisioning these things, and then Brendan was like, "You're on the board. I'm putting you on the board now." He like sends an email out within minutes of us getting out the phone. He's like, "Sally's on the board, effective immediately." And then he writes me an email the next day. He's like, "I couldn't sleep last night," and like, I mean, we're talking about TrailCon 2026 at this point, but and then it was like, "Can you moderate these panels?" The people that are on my panels, I'm like, I don't even need to be up there. I mean, we have like Hillary Allen and Hayden Hawks and Jim Walmsley. We got Drew Darby, Myrna, Tommy Runs. So many incredible athletes. All of them could stand on the stage by themselves and talk for 30 minutes. So coming in as a moderator, I'm just pitching questions. And one of them is trail running in the modern world. So that'll be a fun panel. And the other one is kind of like the intersection of creators and trail running. Okay. So, and how they use their panels. And then it's the Trail Awards and Hall of Fame. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I have 2 questions. One, and this is thinking historically for a second. If you look at maybe the last 10 to 12 years that you've been in the sport.
Yeah.
to me, it seems like whatever moment we're in, it feels like the most interesting times.
Yes.
But if you really look at the last 10 to 12 years and you had to pick a year or a stretch of time, which era has been the most interesting for you and why?
I think 15 and 16 were really interesting because I think that was the start of when stuff was starting to change like pretty significantly.
Materially for you too, that you could like feel like all of your investments were kind of paying off, stuff like that.
Like for me personally, this question's more for me personally or for the trail. Yeah, I think so. 2016, I think, was a huge turning point in my career where I realized it was my third year with Nike. I mean, every single year I was signed with them, I was like, they're going to cut me. They're going to cut me. They're going to cut. Like
the third year's over. That's like
it is. You're just
pivotal
like
one.
Yeah, and I always had like goals for myself. Every year I was like, I have to get on the podium every year. I have to just as far as like being an athlete, that was really important to me. I also started to understand that's kind of like where a lot of my perspective started to change. I started traveling around the world and I just realized, I'm like, gosh, this is like really who I am. Like what I'm doing inside of trail running is like literally what I feel like my purpose is here, of my life. And so I think 2016 changed because that's when I really started to just create more and own my own stuff, start to build up my business a little bit. But I became that much more interested too in working alongside brands and working with companies, having higher level conversations. It wasn't so much, I got tired of this. So what's on your race list this year? What are you doing? And I'm like, let's talk about product innovation. Let's talk about marketing. What are your goals for this year? I mean, most of the brands that I've been signed with over the years, I usually end up meeting with people outside of the trail team, outside of just running. And we have, bigger conversations. I'm really interested in that. I learned that what is most important in navigating, again, this is for everyone, is to look for the opportunity and not the money. And that's very difficult because we live in a world where it's like, well, if you have a lot of money, then that's status. And you're then able to do a lot more with that money. And so I'm not saying like go broke and go live in a van down by the river or anything, but like, I think that's why it was so important that I built up my own stuff, because if there was anything that I wanted to do, I could fund it myself. If I wanted to, hire someone, I would just hire them myself. If I want to do a film, then I'm going to pay for it myself. I'm not going to wait for someone to fund a film, tell me how I'm supposed to film, expect it to look this way and sound this way. Like I'm going to do all that myself. And so I think in 16, it was, how can I make an impact, not only as an athlete, but just in a more human experience type way, like within the community, and probably more in a subtle way. Cause I wouldn't say that, I don't use my accounts. I don't use anything. I'm not a political person. Like I love people. And so I think that's always like a hard part when I walk into any room is again and again, people at the top, they come down and they say, Sally, you're just too nice. You're just like a nice person. And I was like, I love that. I love that you remember me, like continue to remember from that. I'm real and I can be mean. I can say things I shouldn't. And like, I'm super imperfect, but yeah, I think once you kind of just like own your story and what you want to do and not care what other people care about, like, I don't care if my stuff goes viral. I don't care if people unfollow me. I don't care if the contract isn't big. If there's an opportunity for me, that's what I'm going after. So go after the opportunities, go after the relationships, and it will affect your whole life. Things just look different when you do that.
At the same, because I know you're really good friends with Billy. At the same time,
Yeah.
15 and 16, how is he making sense of the wave that he's on? Do you have any like stories you can share there, like how he made sense of it?
Yeah, I mean, that's when he made Mont Blanc. So he made Mont Blanc in 15. Was it 15? Yeah, because all of Nike Trail team, all the boys, man. It was like Tim Tolson and oh my gosh, Laney and Zach. I mean, that team was so rad. That was the best team. We were having fun.
Where are you at?
It was, oh my gosh, I know, Pat Werhane. Yeah, I think, I mean, Billy's so good at what he does. He is, and I've told him this for years. I'm like, you can't really like go to school to teach someone to like do what he does. I just feel like it's just in him. He's a beautiful storyteller, and he'll find it. He'll pull that out and make something really beautiful, even with like little footage. I mean, at that time, it was like you couldn't be anywhere on the course filming, and somehow he like made a beautiful film that has millions of views. Like to this day, if I'm in Chamonix with Billy, people come up to him nonstop and say, "I'm here because of your film." And I love that for him. And I tell him that all the time. Don't just think it's about the running for those people either. When people say that they signed up for a race because they watched your film, know that it's everything that's attached to that. They've made new friends. They've maybe learned to be courageous and brave. Like there's other things that they've learned, to do because of that. But yeah, Billy, I think his career really took off in 15 and 16 as well. And I think he'll always go down as one of the great endurance filmmakers because of it. He's inspired so many other filmmakers. I mean, I meet people all the time that are like, I've picked up a camera because of Billy, because of what he did. And I think sometimes when, Billy and I are sitting around and have a chance at a conversation, we do talk about like, wow, look how far we've come. But we also reminisce when it was a lot quieter, when there weren't as many brands involved, when things weren't so loud, I guess is maybe the word to say. I mean, we always go back to this conversation we had, which actually like changed both of our lives. It was in 2013. We were doing this Southern California Triple Crown where you summit all three tallest peaks in Southern California within a 24-hour period. And I remember he and I, we were at the back, there was like 5 of us doing all of our buddies. And Billy and I were working up Mount Baldy, the backside of Mount Baldy at 1 a.m. And it was a full moon and the wind was ripping. And the thing I always appreciate about my friendship with Billy, and it's been 15 years of friendship, is we're really honest with each other. We challenge each other. And he said, "Sally, I think you should start a podcast." This is back in 2013. And I was like, "You should start a podcast. You'd be amazing starting a podcast." And he was filming all of our little trips. Like our run group was so much fun. We were about adventure always. And Billy would make these films and he'd do end of the year films. And I go, "People, like, your stuff's really good. It's getting better and better." And, but it's just crazy. We always talk about that. We're like, because then the next year, everything changed for both of us. I got my golden ticket to Western States, and that was among our crew. It was like, whoever is getting the golden ticket to Western States or whoever gets into Western States, like, we're all going. And that's when he made Western Time. And it was, so I think it's looking at how his career has evolved over the years, like just as like a genuine friend. I mean, he's like genuinely a brother to me. I'm so proud of him because I think that he'll always be remembered as just inspiring a lot of people, not only to come into the trails and the beauty that's here, but just for creatives and what's possible. He didn't go to college for that. He didn't go to college to do screenwriting and editing and filming and any of that. He learned all of it on his own, and he's pretty good at it. So
he is pretty good at
it.
Yeah.
He needs to do more of it.
I know.
Yeah.
I've got at least one more.
Good.
Again, this is sort of like a category question, but I'm curious to know like who you're tracking right now. Like if you look at all the operators out there, the runners, your colleagues, et cetera, who are you most interested in right now? Like, who have you been following and you're like, oh, like that story is cool, that journey is cool, and why?
I really like Hillary Allen yesterday. Was it yesterday that she got third
in the ascent?
Made it into the ascent. I've always loved Hillary Allen. And this isn't a brand new athlete. She's so inspiring. I haven't been able to spend a ton of time. I mean, we've been in the sport together almost as long. I think she came in like maybe 1 or 2 years after me, but like, I think that I love just real solid human stories, and Hillary put hers out there like right away. I mean, she fell off a mountain.
Yeah.
I mean, 150 feet drop off a ridge. Like, she's so lucky to be alive, and yet she's come back and has completely dedicated and disciplined herself to being the best she can be. And she is. She's one of the best. I love that. I love watching her journey. I think overall, I mean, I follow a lot of athletes. I think the way that I follow the sport, I very much watch it from a parallel point of view. I watch brands and athletes very closely. I'm like obsessed with brands.
What's an example?
Right now.
What's a good example right now?
I think BPN is a great example, honestly. I think it's so wild that you can create a backyard ultra and over a weekend get like 50,000 followers onto your Instagram account and have content creators say that your race is the hardest one in the world. I think that's insane, especially because I think the backyard ultra, I think it stopped like at 250 miles maybe.
Yeah, it was like
230
weather, hurricane.
Yeah,
tornadoes.
some rain came in, but like so here's the thing with that. And Nick's a very good friend of mine. Nick's very smart. And what he's building, I think people should probably pay attention to that, because the thing is, what brands are doing, it's like, if you're going to thrive and be the voice and be the message and say, hey, I'm your first touch point into ultra running. This is what it looks like. It's the people with the most content. And so, yeah, the funds matter. Having good content creators matter. And you can kind of pick and choose whatever athletes you want, and you can make them stars. You can tell their entire story. And so I think when brands come in and they're like, we love you, we love what you do, you're a great runner, you're a great athlete, we're now going to build all these episodes about you. We're going to make documentaries about you. We're going to follow your life. I think we should be paying attention to that model.
We were just talking about this with Dylan Bowman. If you watched, for example, the Broken Arrow 46K 2 days ago, finishing 12th in that field is incredible. Like that is a feat of athleticism. It is such a deep field.
Amazing.
But the reward for that is so incredibly marginal compared to what, for example, the two guys in that BPN Ultra probably got for finishing 1-2.
Oh, they're signed now.
Their lives are forever changed. Like,
they're signed
in material
athletes.
Ways.
Yes. Yeah. And Nick treats his athletes very well. Everyone on the team is, it's one of my favorite brands to work with. I love what they do. And I think that there's a lot, I think things are just moving so fast. I think that's why I'm paying attention. That's not the only brand that I'm watching what all of the brands are doing. And I feel like unless you're constantly pumping out content, both in long form, short form, you're doing shorts, you're doing on YouTube. I mean, Jamil is a wonderful example of that with Cocodona, putting out daily episodes. Are you kidding me? It's no wonder that the race sells out in minutes. Like and again, this is just me putting on my business cap, and I'm very fascinated with that. Like I'm fascinated with, where things are going, the stories that are being told, the messages that are being put out there. And when you have waves of new people coming into the sport and their first touch point is because of someone's film or because of an athlete that had a documentary, it's mind-blowing what their impression is of the sport. I mean, when I first came in, there was a film on Netflix about Barkley, right? Do you guys remember that?
Race that Eats Its Young.
Okay, what year was that released?
2012.
Okay, 2012. No. Was that the one on Netflix?
2012.
Was it the Race That Eats Its Own?
Yeah, there was a delay, I think, but it was 2012.
Okay, I thought it was a little bit later than that. So when I'd say for actually most of my career still, that is the number one race that people ask me about.
Right.
People that do not know anything about ultras all throughout my entire career have always been like, oh, ultras, yeah, that one from Netflix, like that weird, but that sport is so weird. And I'm like, literally, that's not our sport. Like, that is a standalone event. Huge respect for that event. Sure. But I would never describe ultra running like that. Like, that's a very standalone event, but it was always crazy to me. And then I think that's when I started to pay more attention to, wow, content is king in this space, because if you own it, you can kind of communicate the messages and let people see and really tell the stories that you want to be told. And the more that you put out there, that's what's saturating the market. That's that's people's first touch point.
Now that I think about it, like Western States is obviously a very internally popular race in our sport, but it's not necessarily a portal to the general population. Like we're here this week, more so like hanging out with our friends in the scene. But like, yeah, that Barkley race, the BPN Ultra, that's touching the new people. I would be curious to know how many new people come into the sport through Western this week. I don't know, but I would guess that it's less than those two races have had.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that like extreme, like almost unbelievable type. You like Western States hard, like winning Western States, very, very difficult. But it's not like, I don't know when this race is over.
Right.
We've been going for 4 days. It's not, I have to go collect soggy books in mountains that I don't know where they are.
Exactly.
Like, there's that air of
which, by the way, congratulations, you guys hit 1 million views in 3 months on the Barkley film.
Dude.
And I know Drew, the man over here, love Drew Darby.
Dos Comas. We gotta get you a bottle of tequila.
Another incredible filmmaker over here. I super proud of you guys for that. We actually had like a 15-minute segment on it on one of my podcasts talking about it, about how brilliant you guys did with that, knowing that you can't just follow people around like running, and the way that you guys played both with graphics and the storytelling was incredible. I loved it. It was very well done. If you have not seen it yet, make sure you go and watch it. It is so well done.
Yeah. Really quick, Rob Fisher from Ultra Ego on the graphics, Drew Darby, DPing the whole thing, and then my wife, Jules Campanelli, who did a lot of the script writing for it.
So good. It was so good. It was very, I think one thing I really admire about you, Finn, is you patiently build to do things in a very elevated way. You're very thoughtful about everything that you do. I mean, even the race that you just put on, in the 12 months since I last talked to you face to face, you have done so much. Aside from becoming a dad, you launched this race, you put out a viral, beautiful film. I really appreciate your thoughtfulness, and I hope that you are actually the model that people look to, because that's what we need. We need thoughtful, real good, hard work that impacts people in a real way. Because right now, here's the template to go viral. Here's what you need to do to make it happen. You need to be this, and you need to fit this, and like, whoo, that's really rough to navigate.
I mean, I really appreciate that. Yeah. The secret is to just surround yourself with people that are super, super talented, way more talented than you.
You have a lot of good people around you. You definitely do.
Fast media guy.
Yeah. You guys are doing a great job.
Well, that means a lot. Yeah. And yeah, always a pleasure to have you in studio. Before we go, really quickly, got to thank the partners, Norda, NAC, Goreware, and Raid for making this all possible. Do us a favor, go check them out in the show notes of this episode. Sally, last word, anything you want to leave the viewers, listeners with before we go?
Yeah, I think everyone that actually took the time to view, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And for everyone that's navigating their way in this sport, I want to encourage you to remember that you are significant no matter what. No matter if you're back of the pack, middle of the pack, if you're a signed athlete, on and off the trail, you are significant. And I hope that you are able to write a really cool story for those of you that are racing this weekend. I think last year, the thing that I said was don't quit in the middle. That's where the good stuff happens, is in the middle of the race, which was like so much irony for my race, because it was halfway through and I was like...
That's the most popular clip on the Singletrack Instagram in our Instagram's history.
Yeah, I think it's a word that we all need every day of our lives. So, but yeah, you guys, thank you so much for bringing me on. I really appreciate it. I appreciate both you guys, and thank you to everyone that was here. Yeah.